Okay. So Janelle, thank you so much for being here with us. How did the awareness of PSD, come into your life?
So I received an alert or notice from a friend of mine who we had both enjoyed and appreciated the book, How the Body Keeps the Score. And
Mm,
she knew I was really interested. She and I were both members of the same fundamentalist religion growing up, and we had both left that religion. And so there was a very heavy element of patriarchy in my previous experience, more than probably the average American woman. And so she told me about this book, just the title alone. I was like, yes, I need to look at this. So I happened to go ahead and just order it just by her recommendation, and read it. I happened to also be reading it at the same time as Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And so I had this really great serendipity of a memoir of breaking out,
mm.
along with the research and psychology
Wow.
behind the patriarchy stress disorder. And that's how I came across the work. And that was in March and April. And after I finished the book, it was like, the ending of a great friendship. And I was like, I need more. And thankfully, Dr. Valerie had included some resources online
Mhm.
in the end of the book. And so I looked everything up and joined, and then got notice of the retreat. So, and that is how I have so far been learning more about PSD.
Mm. So what drew you to attend the event was really like the experience of the book, the resonance, the
Yes, yes.
nice.
Yes, this is like, I've been in years of therapy. I have
Mm.
read lots of different, how-to books like You Are a Badass and Dance of Anger, and all of those are great. They really are great. But this book was like every chapter, every page, everything was like this, 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 this. And it was so aligned with my experience and so descriptive of, the challenges I've been facing, the issues I've been facing. I couldn't find a better resource. So so yes, it has been a huge shift for me. Huge shift. Yeah.
Super exciting. And
Yes.
as that was shifting, yeah, major celebrations there. And what were you actually hoping to get out of the event, the Thriving Experience event? Like, what was your hopes
So
with that?
interestingly enough, despite all the therapy I've had and all these books I've read,
Hmm.
the thing that I have been really wanting is, I don't want to just have like cognitive behavioral therapy where I do, 6 to 8 weeks of, I did that, didn't work. I wanted to know why. Why do I feel this way? Do I approach life this way? Do I believe these things about myself? And that was what I was really looking for. And the Patriarchy Stress Disorder book really answered a lot of those questions for me. But a lot of the solutions in the book, while made sense, still felt a little out of reach, because when you are so far into patriarchy and that's all you've ever known, and that's all you um, that's all you have reference for, just one book, I could read it. I'm going to read it again, but that I needed more. And what I was really hoping for, and what I found in the retreat was the more work with the prison guards and that whole process. Like, I understood the idea and process of repower. I understood the idea of prison guard. But when I read that, when I was at the end of the book, I was like, I don't know if I have any prison guards, because I don't feel, I can't identify them. I don't understand that. And so going into the event, it was like that first Friday, I felt really kind of out of my realm. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I needed approval to be there. There was all kinds of issues showing up that I now know are prison guards. But it wasn't until Saturday morning when I was like, I think that these lies that I believe about myself are the prison guards.
Mm.
And and then, like, now my journal is full of them.
It
And
clicked.
yes, it clicked. And for the first time in my life, I was able to identify and articulate some of the most insidious and some of the most subtle prison guards that
Nice.
I have lived with for decades and had no idea what they were doing, why they were there.
Wow. So it was really that place of like
It was,
hoping to go from the awareness, like cognitive awareness, to really getting the practice of it, the experience of it,
yes,
getting it in your body and actualizing it. Wow.
yes,
Huge celebrations of the insights, by the way.
yes,
Catching going from like, do I have them to like, oh yeah, wow. Right.
yes. And there they all are.
And there they are. And there they
And
are.
there's probably even more. I just haven't even identified them yet, right?
That's
So,
huge celebrations for the ground taken, right? You
yes,
just nailed so many like massive, massive celebrations there.
yes,
So
yes.
very cool. Okay. And did you have any reservations coming up before like actually coming to the event or before committing to it?
My biggest reservation had to do with whether or not I felt like I belonged in this group. You know, there's a lot of really talented and articulate women. And as they talked, I was like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm thinking. And I feel very disjointed and emotional. And that emotion, like feeling really raw and not knowing exactly how to articulate or why I'm feeling that way, not having the words, made it that much more, I felt that much more vulnerable. And so that was my biggest reservation was not sure I belonged here, you know. And then obviously having the retreat run by the author of the book that I really appreciated was like, who gets this kind of access and exposure? I didn't know that you would be joining, and so it was even, you know, like double. It was like all of this availability, and so I felt like I needed to justify like why I'm there and make sure everybody was okay with me being there, you know. I think that was the hardest hurdle, the highest hurdle for me to get over.
Okay. And what could have actually prevented you from being there?
Well, my doubt of me belonging. Um, it's a big commitment on a holiday weekend to say I'm going to spend, you know, 2.5 days with all these people remotely while my family is doing other things. Um, but I think that was about it. Those two, I mean, once I was like, this, how can I say no? I mean, who gets this kind of opportunity? And and I'm going to at least try. You know, the worst thing that can happen is they can ask me to leave or not come back.
And we're so glad you were there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and it just, one of the questions there is also, what kind of breakthroughs, shifts, and ahas you had. And also, I'm curious, what was the actual experience like, with that concern about fitting in and belonging once you actually got there? How did that play out? And then what other breakthroughs, shifts, ahas?
Yes. So I think the biggest aha for me was that these women all, and you and Dr. Valerie, all accept me and embrace me. And I am here for the same reasons all of these women are. Like, we all have the same experience. And as that became more and more evident, then I felt like I belonged. So by Saturday, the second day, I felt like, okay, I belong here, and I relate to everything that is being said. And then by Sunday, I felt like we're going to change the world. Like, this is the beginning of something new. And I started seeing all kinds of parallels between the patriarchy stress disorder and systemic racism and all of these parallel, like what patriarchy does to a society that causes not only issues with misogyny and patriarchy, but all these other marginalizations that happen. It was just so clear to me. So then by the end of the retreat, I was, we are now part of an army. And I was so grateful to Dr. Valerie for being willing to pursue her best life, because without her saying, this is my desire, that I need to reach more women with this information, I would never have known. If she wouldn't have written this book, I'm in Colorado, she's in Arizona. Like, we would never have crossed paths in terms of her private practice, or, there would have been no way for me to come across it. And so I'm just eternally grateful for her pursuing her desire, which then makes me say, well, then how much more compelling is it for me to pursue mine? Because there might be somebody, a few years from now who is like, thank you for pursuing your desire because it has changed my life. What a inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And she totally is our courageous leader. I'm so grateful for her leadership and her visionariness.
Yes.
Yeah. All of her amazingness. That's, first of all, that's huge. Thank you for that. And what, I know you had some other big breakthroughs and kind of shifts that happened with it too. What other kind of?
Yes. So I think some of the other shifts are in, I think for me, first of all, was the shift I mentioned about realizing that my prison guards are the lies I believe about myself, and not realizing that they've been holding me back. So I'm successful for what I do in my work, um, but I wonder, what more I could be doing. I had big dreams as a child, but then, I got into college and needed to get married right away, because that's what you do when you go to college, or for me in my culture, it
Right?
was like, go to college, women go to college to find husbands.
Mm.
And a lot of my friends, like I'm in that generation that is kind of between that. So some of my friends waited, and a lot of us didn't. And I became a mom right away, because I had 2 stepchildren that lived with me. And I loved it. Like I loved that process, but it wasn't the process that I think my most authentic self would have chosen. And um, and so, from the get-go, I started working to support my family, and have done that for 25 years. And now my youngest is going, has gone to college. She just finished her first year. And I'm like, what is my life? What is my dream? I don't know. I didn't go to college to become a nonprofit financial manager, which is what I am. And I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. Um, and I, support my family still, and I'm the primary breadwinner. So then what does that mean? And what I'm realizing, what was really helpful in the event, was realizing that even if I don't know exactly what my true desires are, the process of uncovering what those are could mean a lot of different things for my career, and that my career could be shaped within the current container, that I can shape the job that I'm in and start, I, developing new ways of doing work that fit me better, and that would then benefit the organization. Like, that's my job, is to bring the best of me to the organization, not just to fill their job description.
Mm-hmm.
And also maybe planning, like, for now, this is where I'm at, and I hope to stay here at least for the next 3 years while my daughter finishes college. It gives me a lot of flexibility and
Right.
great experiences. And then using this as an incubator for what is next. Like, when she graduates, I'll be 50 years old. I'd be in a really prime place of having all of this experience in my history under my belt, and then being able to use that in some way. And when I left my previous job last summer, there were some of my colleagues who suggested I become a consultant, which I didn't know about that, because I know what happens with consultants, right? They come
Right.
in, they dive in, they drop in a bunch of information, and then people forget it when they leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there are other ways of doing work that, that might be that, or maybe I am just one of those people that go into an organization and spends time with them for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and really helps to develop their systems and to launch entrepreneurial, nonprofits. There's social entrepreneurship is a big thing right now. And that is something I feel really passionate about. And that could be my role, So realizing that I've not only got these new tools that I could develop into this whole new career as I incubate these ideas, but then also to realize that it could be something completely new that I don't even know yet exists. Like, I could create that, and I could be that person. This is pretty exciting.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the next question I have for you is about, like, what becomes possible in your life with all of these
Anything,
changes.
right? Anything,
Wow. So, like, just a huge opening in terms of possibility.
Yes, because it's no longer just, I just work to earn a paycheck for my family.
Yeah.
It is, I can create, I am the author of my career and of my work, and that I have, experience and knowledge and expertise to share. And when I get rid of those prison guards, or change them, as another person
Right.
said, into bodyguards, then they become a support and empower me to move forward, as opposed to just trying to avoid feeling anxious or avoid feeling inadequate or avoid feeling negatively. I'm actually creating this new life, which is whole new idea to me, whole new idea.
Yeah. Wow. So really, I love how you speak to this place of like where the book really woke things up, but you
Mhm.
really knew that to actually do the work, to actually get the opening, you needed to be in the space, in the community, in the field, doing the work, which you did. So thank you for doing the work. Thank you for showing up.
Oh, and there's more work to do.
There always is more work to do, but yes, I agree. And, and you did a bunch of amazing work. I mean, look at the shifts you're describing and what you opened to possibility wise. So thank you for doing your work. I know it's not always comfortable or like, woohoo, let's do that. But well done. Beautiful.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I love the possibility. The field of possibility is just amazing.
Yes.
I'm loving it. So as you're with that, like what other major highlights were there for you from the thriving experience from the weekend?
Definitely the sisterhood.
Mm.
Another highlight, which completely surprised me, and this is an area where I really feel like I have a lot of work to do, is actually the work you did with us,
Mm.
because I am so out of touch with my body, and didn't really know that.
Mm.
Um, After the retreat, those days immediately following, I slept better than I've ever slept. My body felt so
Mm.
physically relaxed.
Yeah.
And I knew it was in large part to the breathing and the shaking and just the physical integration
Yes.
of repowering and recognizing where we were at and the things we were talking about. And it was during the event, we never shied away from difficult subjects, but we always followed up those difficult conversations with that movement. And I understand the value of exercise. Like taking a good walk is a silver bullet for me, but not in line, not ever, um, it, not ever in reference to dealing with difficult psychological issues or shifting, your belief system or your perspectives of yourself. Like that never connected for me. And there was a part of a reclaiming in that. And I just hit the surface. Like that was just the surface for me. There's a lot more work to do. And I think that was a significant aha, really was. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that nervous system work, right? You're just kind of like
yeah,
the
it
movement
was.
breath. It's especially when we're used to, like you were describing, that cognitive behavioral. I mean, when we
Mhm.
really realize, holy shit, I'm not really down in
Right.
my
And
body as much and work with it.
right. I've done EMDR, so I understood the connection between like how the body holds
Mhm.
memory, but not in how it can help you process. Like that was really different, and new to me. And another big shift, and I mentioned earlier, is how the how there is just so much more work to do. Like that is the big thing for me, um, which is exciting because
Yeah,
you feel even that much better. Like really, how good
right,
can it get?
right.
And I have to say, Jeffrey, like the whole how much can I bear and how good can it get, that how much can I bear has been my motto. Like
Mm.
I lived with that my whole life, and saw my taking on more and doing more was my calling or my job. I'm a good mom if, or I'm a good wife if, or I'm a good daughter if, good employee if. But realizing that, especially coming into my 40s and like my life is half over. I don't have enough time to just see what works and what doesn't. I want to be very clear and deliberate about creating the best life I can. And one thing I wanted to mention is in previous years, over the last few years, I've had a lot of success with building intention. And every couple of years I'll set like these 3 words are my intention. And I have had success with that. And at the beginning of this year, my daughter went to college. I'm a brand new empty nester. We moved to a new state to build a new life, kind of in celebration of that new empty nest. And I'd set a new 3-word intention for 2020, and that is present, curious, and authentic. And
Mm.
so when I started the event, that was the intention I set, was present, curious, and authentic. And to realize how much presence and curiosity and authenticity is available to me. And even in February, I told my partner, and I was like, I really want to build a new life. I want something new. I want to explore new things. And he was a little unsure what that meant. And, I really think that it's myself.
Mm.
Like, I am the next big frontier. And I don't know what that looks like for me yet, but I want to figure that out. And then I got the PSD book. Like, that was an answer to that intention in my mind.
I love that place for something to quote you that like you are the next frontier.
Yeah.
And that you're the greatest masterpiece you're ever going to create in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Place. So
Yeah.
so I honor that level of clarity and realization. Thank you for bringing that to all of us. And also honoring the fact that you've done a lot of work. Like this isn't your first or even your 10th rodeo. You've been, right? And I'm so grateful that was able to support that next big shift.
Yes. I'm very grateful too.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow. And I guess the last couple of things is, if you were speaking to your past self or to another woman who is considering, attending or committing to the Thriving Experience, what would you say to her?
Trust yourself and know that the best things are yet to come. And if you commit to yourself to explore and experiment, that you can really have the life you want. Like, there's no limit. It really is up to you. Don't limit yourself. Like, throw that all off. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. Thank you. And just, you've already shared so much. Like, is there anything else you wanted to speak to or share?
No, I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to Dr. Valerie and your whole team. She's a high priestess.
Yeah.
Dr.
High priestess
Valerie.
and more, for sure. She's definitely my high priestess.
Yes.
Yeah, no, beautiful. And I honor that in you and honor the work you're doing also. Thank you for this. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for giving the space to celebrate together and for doing the work. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I hope everyone else can benefit from it as well.
Yes. I want everyone to participate.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Janelle. Appreciate it.
Yes.